lampions de la place Sainte-Justine, chantaient les hommes, les femmes en crinoline, sous les lampions.
What about these two vintages? In fact, for me, these two vintages are quite similar because they are a result of the global warming with very hot temperature during summers. But in fact, at the beginning, they were a little bit different. In 2019, the beginning of the season was was not so good with frost at the beginning, and after the blooming start between the 17th and the 20th of June. That means it was quite normal date for the flowering, and because of very hot season during June and July, we harvest between the 13th of September and the 25th of September. In 2020, it was a little bit different because it was a very precoce year, incredibly precoce, because the blooming was finished before the end of May. That means when you finish the blooming at the end of May, that means you are going to harvest before the end of August, and it was a little bit the case. The weather was very hot also in summer, so that means for these two harvests, the main problem was not to reach high level alcoholic potential, but was to obtain the ripeness we expect. That means it's a question of balance between the level of sugar, means the alcoholic potential, and the flavors of juice. We need to have fruited juice with an optimum ripeness. That means with no herbaceous flavors. So, because also we consider at Gimonnet the cycle between blooming and harvest is very important to obtain the chalkiness and the saltiness of soils of Côte des Blancs. We always would like to wait at minimum 90 days after blooming to pick the grapes. So we have exactly the same reflection for these two vintages, and we obtain very high level of alcoholic potential. In 2019, with lower yield, that means with less than 10,000 kilograms per hectare, in average, we have an average of alcoholic potential of 11.8, and in 2020, with normal yield at about 12,000 kilograms per hectare, we obtain 11.4. What is very interesting, most of people consider the acidity was a little bit lower, but in fact, it was not the problem, because we more determine the date with the pH. We think the pH is more well adapted to determine the optimum date than the acidity, because it is also a question of calcium. That means also a question of minerality in our wines. These two vintages, in fact, were fantastic for us. We had the opportunity to produce a lot of different cuvées. In fact, we play with the wines, and we have the opportunity to produce single villages from Cramant, Cuis, Auger, and also from Cuis. That is very rare, because we start to produce a single vintage Cuis only from 2018. And in fact, we produce a lot of vintages cuvées. It is a little bit problematic for us because, as you know, we need a certain volume of non-vintage for the markets. But I think when you have such an opportunity to produce great vintage as 2019 and 2020, it would be absolutely crazy to don't elaborate the wines only given by the quality of grapes. So we believe a lot in these vintages. I'm sure in the future they will be great vintages, historically vintages, and we hope it will be the same for you when you will have in your glass. Thank you, cheers.
Sous les lampions de la place Sainte-Justine, chantaient les hommes, les femmes en crinoline. Sous les lampions